Hey, hello, welcome to the first edition of the program Say No to Inferiority Complex. If today is your first time of seeing me, my name is Sunday Adeniro. I would encourage you to please like, follow, subscribe. Just share this across the circle because you never can tell, this may be a blessing to someone. Alright, by way of introduction, I'll be starting with the introduction to Inferiority Complex today. Up next, we'll be talking about the causes of inferiority complex, and then we'll be talking about the signs of inferiority complex, followed by the dangers of inferiority complex, and then finally overcoming inferiority complex. This is going to be so fully loaded, so I encourage you to sit back and make sure you follow through from the beginning of the edition, which is from today, to the final edition of this program. All right, let's go straight up to the business of the day. What is inferiority complex? According to mental health experts, they've helped us to define inferiority complex as a chronic low self-esteem that is characterized by an intense and persistent feeling that others are better than you are. Now, take notice of these two words, intense and persistent. I'll be revisiting those words later. You see, it is not yet inferiority complex until it is intense and it is persistent. Let me even give you an instance. For instance, let's say I'm an average student in a class and there are these guys that I know to be A students. I'm trying my best, but they are A students. There is tendency for me to have a feeling that these guys are better than I am. So it is not yet inferiority complex until this happens. Number one, intense. So it becomes so intense that I become so worrisome. I really couldn't think. Even when I'm to sleep, I really couldn't sleep. I really couldn't do other things except that I think about how can this guy be better than I am, and I become so worrisome about it. So it becomes so intense. Number two, persistent. So it occurs all the time, frequently, that every time, even when I'm in class, when I'm not in class, I keep getting worried continuously over and over that these guys are better than I am. And the third thing that makes it inferiority complex is this. You see, for the fact that this person is better than I am, and that can make me to react positively to the awareness, then it is not inferiority complex. What do I mean? If I know this guy is better than me, for instance, I can decide to get challenged by what he's doing. So I want to make this person my friend if it's possible. I also want to learn from him. How does he become what he is? What are the things he's doing that I'm not doing? What do I need to learn from him? Now that is just getting motivated by seeing someone that is better than I am, and I see it as a challenge that also, okay, if he can do it, I can also do it too, and I also want to learn and become better. So if that awareness motivates you to become better, then it is not inferiority complex. But instead of motivating many to become better, this is what it will do. It will bring up this competitiveness in their heart. Number two, it will make them to be resentful. It will even make them to be kind of angry towards this person, and sometimes it can even make the victim to start thinking about finding faults in that person so that they can become cool and become happy because they could find faults in those people that seems to be better than they are. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? So these are the things that make it inferiority complex. So for the fact that you are aware that someone is doing better than you are does not mean it is exactly inferiority complex or low self-esteem until you notice those three things. Number one, can I repeat it again? Intense. The feeling becomes so intense. Number two, it becomes so persistent. And number three, it actually sponsors negative reaction like resentfulness. It sponsors this hatred, this anger, competitiveness, and action of like fault finding and so on. Do you understand that now? So those are inferiority complex. Another thing that is not inferiority complex is quietness or being an introvert. So I may be an introvert, I may be quiet. That doesn't mean that I'm having inferiority complex. So I just need to just put everything into perspective so that you can understand the people I'm talking about. And please, I will encourage you, don't miss the third edition where I'll be talking about the signs. That may take us like 2 or 3 editions because I'll be talking about almost 15 signs to watch out for you to know that you may be having this deadly and dangerous psychological and emotional pain that derives, that is from this thing called inferiority complex. Having said that, Let me even tell you why I'm doing this so I can wrap it off with that, and then we can meet again next week. There are 4 reasons why I decided to pick up this. Number 1, I used to be a victim of inferiority complex, and it's so chronic that as a teenager I suffer so much from what inferiority complex is, and I really could relate with the pain, the emotional stress that can actually come as a result of inferiority complex, especially when you see people that are similarly doing better than you are from your own perspective. You see that now? So because of that, I decided to say, okay, fine, I think I need to take this up and hear my opinion so I can help others. Number 2 reason why I'm doing this is because I know of so many talented and gifted guys that have refused to go out there and get the goal done, go out there and do, the unimaginable, go out there and just express themselves, because they are still being silenced by this dangerous feeling of inferiority complex. So there are many apprentices, they are so skillful like their boss, they know how to do the same job. They may not have enough experience like their boss, but they've been under their boss for like 5 years or even above. Even their boss realize that these guys are good on their own, but inferiority complex wouldn't allow them to say, okay, fine, I think I have what it takes to stand now. Now, I'm not saying this to make you rebellious, but I'm teaching you that it is possible that the reason why you have refused to just launch out is because of inferiority complex. Because inferiority complex is going to deny you of the courage that you need to launch out. Don't worry, when I start talking about the danger of inferiority complex, you will hear that more. All right, so the second reason why I'm doing this is because there are guys that ought to have go out there, that how to have started that thing that has been inherent in them because they have the skill. What about guys that have composed several songs that they keep singing it in their room? They have these, wonderful songs, different unique songs that would have been a blessing to their world. But inferiority complex wouldn't allow them to go out there and just release that single, release that album. Guess what they keep thinking in their heart? It's not someone like me that they are talking about. How could you imagine someone like me be able to do such a thing that those guys are doing? I mean, I'm less worthy of that. You see that now? So because I realized that there are many gifts that are being buried inwardly because of inferiority complex, so I thought of it that it is important that I express myself and hear this opinion to my world, that one can actually suffer from inferiority complex, and if it is not curbed on time, it can affect a lot of things. The third reason why I'm doing this is because inferiority complex can actually graduate from one level to the other if it is not curbed at the early stage. Now, the first stage of inferiority complex is just that feeling that others are better than you are. When it becomes so intense and persistent, it can move to the next stage, which is the stage where you start becoming so resentful, you start becoming so angry, you start becoming so uncomfortable within yourself. The next stage which you resort to is the stage of separation and loneliness from those people that seems to be better than you are. Instead of you taking advantage of a relationship, either by listening to their tape or by listening to them, or you want to learn from them, you start getting, you start separating yourself, and then that can lead to what I call loneliness and just being all by yourself, just being silenced within yourself. The fourth thing is going to lead to is that it start leading you to depression and the state of, you start getting worried that, all right, I think I'm good for nothing. If these guys are doing it and I couldn't do that same thing, then what am I good for? And the moment you get to the point of depression, there is tendency for you to start having suicidal thoughts, because you start thinking that then why am I living? Then what is my essence on earth, right? So whenever you see suicidal thought and depression, they are just things that are not curbed at the early stage. So I think it's important that I just bring this up so that we can actually avoid this. And finally, the reason why I'm doing this is because I noticed that there are people that are innocently contributing to breeding other victims of inferiority complex. For instance, there are parents that keep talking down to their children, that keep insulting their children, telling their children to keep quiet, and they keep saying all sorts of things to their words, to their children, and because of that, unknowing to them, they are breeding new sets of victims of inferiority complex. And many of us unknowingly too, we're doing it to our friends, to our peers, and I think it's important I also say this to us so that we can also learn and avoid being a channel to which other victims will be raised in the society. All right, having said this, I think we'll be stopping here today, and next week we'll be starting with what are the causes of inferiority complex. Please follow through to the end of the program because you will definitely be blessed. Once again, thank you for being part of this. Till we shall be meeting again, I commit you into the hands of the Lord. Thank you and bye-bye.